In this question, they tell you L1 equation is here, and also L2 they don't give you the equation, but instead they give you the x-intercept and also one intercepting point with L1. And then we are going to write down the system of inequalities to fulfill the shaped region here. The key point is, in order to draw this shape, you need 4 lines. The first line is this line, second line horizontal line, third line is this section, and finally this section to form this quadrilateral. So every line you need to use one single equation to represent it. We just focus on the first line. The first line is this line, and then we are talking about right hand side. So this line is the y-axis, that means x equal to 0. X equal to 0 is the equation of y-axis. That's why the first inequality is x need to be positive value or equal to, because it is not dotted line but it is solid line including the boundary. So we accept the equal case. X can equal to 0 or larger than 0. So, and then come to the second line. It's above the ground, so it's obvious that the second requirement is y larger or equal to 0. So even though it's simple, but it's also give you marks by realizing there is 2 lines. Now is the L1 now. L1 is talking about this section. L1. This part is come from L1. And it's very inconvenient to consider the equation like this, so we have to modify it. It is 6x plus 7y equal to 900. Our human brain is very good to handle above the ground or below the ground. So we want to know, is that below this line or above this line? Therefore, we should use y be the subject so that we can easily distinguish. 7y is equal to negative 6x plus 900. Negative 6 over 7x plus 900 over 7. We change the format of this straight line into slope-intercept form. It gives you the slope is going downward, obvious, and also it gives us the y-intercept here. But the key point is, if we can write in this format, it's easily to identify. This is below L1. Since it's below L1, that means to fulfill the requirement, our y, that means the height should be below our line. So it's help you to distinguish in an easiest way. Therefore, our y is smaller than this. You may keep writing in this format, or you may change it back to this format. This format will give you full marks also. So if you want to change it back, you just do all the things again. And then that means 6x plus 7y smaller than 900. Of course, you may use some testing point testing whether the origin fulfill the requirement to distinguish is that smaller than or larger than, but I think it's provide very great burden in making your decision. So I prefer this kind of method. Now we focus on L2. L2 pass through 2 points. The first point is the intercept point. The second point is the x-intercept. That means 180, 0. So to write down the equation, we have a general point here, and then the equation, it should be slope equal to slope. So left hand side to compare these 2 points, because there is 0, it seems like easier. Y minus 0 over x minus 180 should equal to the slope. The slope of L2 is not given, but implicitly tell you by giving you 2 points. So we are going to use these 2 points to find the slope. So 90 minus 0 over 45 minus 180. We get negative 2 over 3. Therefore, y is equal to negative 2 over 3 times of x, and then plus negative 2 over 3 times negative 180. It gives you 120, positive 120. So that means for L2, this position is 120. We can get the y-intercept immediately. And then again, we are talking about this line, we are talking about below L2, the final section here. We are talking about below this line. So therefore, our conclusion is y smaller or equal to the line. Again, this is good enough for you to get the full marks, but if you don't feel comfortable, then you may change it to the general form. Therefore, our solution, the system, is fulfill all these requirements together. We have to write down the symbol of n. This is the answer of part A. In part B, one of the difficulties is to understand these very long questions. But anyway, we just spend some time. Feel free to spend more time to understand the situation. Don't be too rushed. They say that there are two types of products, and then the first product, X, requires 6 man-hours for assembly, and also 2 man-hours for packing. And then another product also need some amounts for assembly and also packing. Now they say that there are 900 man-hours available for assembly, 360 man-hours for packing. So finally, they say that the product of producing this is this amount and this amount. So we are asking for the total product. So it's come from two sections. The first section is from here to here, which is about the constraint. That means there are some limitation for us to choose the number of amounts to produce in X and Y. So it's related to something here. We can choose the combination of X, Y is only within this certain region. And of course it is exam, and you know that they should be related, right? Anyway, after you find all this point is feasible, then we are going to find out the profit in each feasible point. And then we are going to find out, can the profit exist this certain amount? There are two parts. And when we analyze the constraint, there are two limitations. The first limitation is about assembly, and the second limitation is about packing. So we are going to consider one by one. Just talk about assembly first. For X, we require 6 man-hours for assembly. Y, we require 7 man-hours for assembly. And in total, we have 900 available for assembly. So that means if we consider the constraint of assembly, the man-hour spent in assembling X and the man-hour spent in assembling 7 can't exceed 900. One product X requires 6 man-hours. If we have X time of product X, then we have 6X man-hours spent. Together with man-hours spent in Y, so 7Y, it can't exceed 900. This is the constraint for the assembly. And then similar reason for packing. We assign 2 man-hours each for X, 3 man-hours each for Y, and the total man-hour of packing can't exceed 360, which means 2X plus 3Y can't exceed 360. So the key point is, if you just read sentence by sentence, it's difficult to understand. We should separate that assembly and also packing, and then we find out relevant information from each sentence. And then very important thing is no one know what is X and Y, so you better write it down. Let the factory produce X times of type X and also Y times of type Y. And then we are going to write down the constraint here. That means we can produce the feasible solution. Is first, X is positive or 0, Y is positive or 0. And then 6X plus 7Y smaller than 900. 2X plus 3Y smaller than 360. Of course, you realize that they are just talking about the situation in part A, and they should the same. And then we know that in order to get the maximum or minimum of a linear function, here we are talking about profit, it must be come from some vertex of this quadrilateral. So we are talking about the first point here, second point, third point, and also the fourth point. That means we need to write consider vertex. at 0, 0, the profit will equal to 440 times of x, and then plus 665 times of 0 is equal to 0. We don't produce anything. Of course, we don't have any profit. So the profit function is equal to 440 times of x and then plus 665 times of y. And then at another point we calculate, we just repeat it. Another point we have, this is when x is 0, y is 120, 0, 120. Also, another point is the intercept point 4590. And finally, the last point, we are talking about the x-intercept of L1. For L1, when y is equal to 0, x will equal to 150. And then we calculate the profit in each case, and then we find out the maximum profit. Therefore, we find the maximum profit is just 79,800. Beware that even though you think the first point is so stupid, but you have to list out the logic is you test every vertex. Otherwise, you don't get the method mark. So we write down the maximum profit. Maximum possible profit is equal to 79800, which is smaller than 80,000. Therefore, it can't exist. We do not agree.